Good morning. Good, beautiful, cool morning. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being here on behalf of the President of the National Montford Point Marine Association, Incorporated, Dr. James T. Averhart, Jr. Welcome to the 15th Annual Montford Point Marine Day ceremony. I am Lieutenant Colonel Denise Williams, USMC retired. Today also marks this anniversary, the 82nd anniversary of the arrival of the first African-American Marine recruit, Howard P. Perry. He was the first one to come to train here at Montford Point Camp. The guest of honor for today's ceremony is Lieutenant General Calvert L. Worth, Jr., the Commanding General of 2nd Marine Expeditionary Force. I believe General Worth is also going to present replicas of the Congressional Gold Medals to these deserving families of approximately 30 Montford Point Marines, and these awards are presented posthumously to celebrate their achievements. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are able, please stand for the invocation by the Montford Point Marine National Chaplain. That is Nathaniel Broussard, Master Sergeant, retired, USMC. And please remain standing for the presentation of colors, honors to Lieutenant General Worth, and the national anthem.
Good morning. What a beautiful day God has blessed us with today. I can remember sometimes being out here and it's 98 degrees already this morning, so we thank God for the wonderful weather. Dear God, we thank you for this day, for this is a day that you have made. Let us rejoice for the gathering today of so many that have come far and near. We thank you for this 82nd year anniversary of our Montford Point Marines. This place that was once a marshy swamp, now a place of peace and serenity, as we stand here on this beautiful monument dedicated to the Montford Point Marines. We ask that you would bless our ceremony today for the 30 families that are going to receive replicas of the Congressional Gold Medal. And we just ask, God, that you would bless us on today. Bless our city, Jacksonville, North Carolina. Bless our Montford Point Marines. Bless their families today. Bless all of our dignitaries, God. We ask also that you bless all those Marines that are on active duty, our sister services that are serving throughout the world. We ask, God, that you would bless our Corps, bless our country, go before all those who are on active duty, who are serving at every time and place. We ask most of all that you would bless the United States of America. Amen.
March on the colors. Honors will now be rendered for Lieutenant General Worth. Post the colors. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. We were honored with a flyover this morning, a little early. Sound of Freedom, and that was to honor our nation's brave World War II veterans. The section leader and aircraft commander, Captain Merrick Connolly, co-pilot Captain Mitchell Gonta, crew chiefs Corporal Miramontes and Lance Corporal Riddle. These Marines are assigned to VMM-266, better known as the Fighting Griffins. The second aircraft commander was Captain Jesse Gendreau, co-pilot Captain Cody Siva, crew chiefs are Sergeant DeShaw, Lance Corporal Laura. Those Marines are with VMMT-204, better known as the Raptors. But regardless, you had a flyover this morning, ladies and gentlemen. So let's give them a round of applause, even if they can't hear us. Thank you. As we begin today's ceremony, it is my pleasure to introduce our official party. I ask that you hold your applause until all have been introduced. First, the name that we've already mentioned, Lieutenant General Calvert L. Worth, Jr. He's the Commanding General, 2nd Marine Expeditionary Force, and he's the guest of honor for today's ceremony. He is accompanied by his lovely wife, Lisa. Second, the Honorable and Unpredictable Theodore R. Britton, Jr., former ambassador to Grenada and Barbados and a Montford Point Marine. Next, the Honorable Walter E. Gaskin, Sr., former Secretary for the State of North Carolina Department of Military and Veteran Affairs, and Lieutenant General, USMC retired. Fourth, Lieutenant General Ronald E. Bailey, Sr., USMC retired. The Honorable Sammy Phillips, Mayor of the City of Jacksonville. Commissioner Tim Foster, Board of Commissioners, Chairman for Onslow County. Major General David L. Odom, Commanding General, 2nd Marine Division. Brigadier General Anthony M. Henderson. I'm giving you Anthony Anderson's money. Brigadier General Anthony M. Henderson, Commanding General, Training Command. Brigadier General Maura Hennigan, Commanding General, 2nd Marine Logistics Group. Colonel Ralph J. Rizzo, Jr., Commander, Marine Corps Installations East, Marine Corps Base Camp Lejeune. And hosting today's ceremony, the President of the National Montford Point Marine Association, Incorporated, Dr. James T. Averhart, Jr., Chief Warrant Officer 5, USMC retired, and the President of the National Montford Point Marine Association, Incorporated Auxiliary, Mrs. Latasha Alexander. Ladies and gentlemen, a deserving round of applause, please. Today's ceremony honors the outstanding achievements of the approximately 20,000 Marines who were trained at Montford Point Camp, which is now known as Camp Gilbert H. Johnson, and who served their country honorably. In addition to Ambassador Britton, we're privileged to have other Montford Point Marine heroes here with us today. They are seated in the tent, and if you just hold your hands up, please. First Sergeant William Jack McDowell, Master Gunnery Sergeant Carol Braxton, Gunnery Sergeant Roosevelt Farrell, Gunnery Sergeant F.M. Hooper, Staff Sergeant Eugene Groves, Sergeant Ivor Griffin, Corporal George McIvory, and Private First Class Adrian Doucette. Ladies and gentlemen, the Marines of Montford Point. Now, if you will, it is my privilege to welcome to the podium Colonel Ralph J. Rizzo, Commander, Marine Corps Installations East, Marine Corps Base Camp Lejeune.
Good morning, folks. How's everybody? Great to see everyone. Lieutenant Colonel Williams, thanks so much for the introduction. You know, I was preparing last evening and felt that I'm good, I'm confident, and then I showed up and met and watched some of these heroes be introduced. And I said, wow, I got to deliver. I really got to deliver. Thank you all, especially to our Montford Point Marines, our heroes, past and present. You have reminded me that we do truly stand on the shoulders of giants, so thank you all. Yeah, absolutely. Give them another round, please, folks. As the chaplain said, couldn't ask for a better Eastern North Carolina day. Just about 2 weeks ago, none of us would be very comfortable, even at 08. So well done to Montford Point and the chaplains. I know they were all praying really hard for us. So great job there. Truly an honor to be here today. but I would be remiss if I didn't stop and thank a few folks who got us to this point. The Montford Point Marine Association and all the hard work they do to make sure that our event is always special. To the Marine sailors in the background who have done so much to get the garden to the shape it's in today so that we could truly honor those we're here to honor. And most especially our 2nd Marine Division band. I always want to thank the band for what they do. Thank you. So if you bear with me, folks, good morning, distinguished members of our National Montford Point Marine Association, our honored guests, Marines, sailors, and esteemed attendees. On behalf of the Marine Corps Base Camp Lejeune and the countless Marines and sailors who continue to serve our nation here and abroad, it is my profound honor to welcome you to the 15th annual Montford Point Marine Day and posthumous awarding of Congressional Gold Medals. I first want to offer special recognition to a number of distinguished guests in attendance. Dr. James T. Everhart, President of the National Montford Point Marine Association, Montford Point Marine and retired U.S. Ambassador to Grenada and Barbados, Ambassador Theodore R. Britton Jr., sir. Thank you for coming. Our Onslow County Commissioners in attendance today, Mr. Tim Foster, Mrs. Lisa Carpenter, and Mr. Walter Scott, as well as our Jacksonville Mayor, Mr. Sammy Phillips. Thanks for coming out and always supporting not only Montford Point, but our bases and stations in general. Our keynote speaker, we all know Lieutenant General Cal Worth, Commanding General, 2 Marine Expeditionary Force, and his beautiful bride, Lisa. Thank you for coming. To Lieutenant General Walt Gaskin, retired. Thanks for always being a mentor, sir. To Lieutenant General Ron Bailey, same applies, General. Thank you, sir. To Major General David Odom, I apologize, sir, Commanding General, 2nd Marine Division. To Brigadier General Anthony Henderson, Commanding General Training Command, and to Brigadier General Mara Hennigan, Commanding General, 2nd Marine Logistics Group, and the many other ranking officers and senior enlisted Marines, past and present, in attendance today. Welcome all of you. Today we gather to celebrate the remarkable legacy of the first African Americans who entered our Corps, inspired social change, and paved the way for future generations. As I spoke about, the shoulders of the giants we stand upon as we serve today. Well, this day is indeed special for all Marines at Camp Lejeune who treasure and revere their history. It's particularly special for the families of these 30 Montford Point Marines as we look upon this magnificent memorial. The many stars on this wall have been a symbolic way to call attention to more than 20,000 African Americans who trained and served here, but whose names were never recorded. Today's ceremony serves as another formal reckoning with our history. It's about an accountability that's been long overdue. Accountability to men like Master Sergeant Ira J. Nash, Corporal Rufus H. Jones, and Assistant Cook James E. Logan, Jr., and the 27 other brothers who will be formally entered into a growing ledger of stars that will now have a name, a face, and a life honorably lived associated with them. Their legacy of service to the United States has forever anchored their role in our nation's military history. They crossed the threshold to fight not only the enemy overseas, but also the enemy of racism and segregation at home. And because of them, we as a country and as a Marine Corps will not rest until the brave men represented by each star are truly all present and accounted for. To the Montford Point Marines and their families present today, I salute you on behalf of the Marines who train here and are inspired by your example. I challenge each of you to continue sharing your story with our newest generation of Marines, ensuring that your legacy continues to motivate those who wear the Eagle, Globe, and Anchor, the emblem of our United States Marine Corps. Thank you all for joining us today in this celebration and remembrance. May God bless each of you, and Semper Fidelis.
Thank you, Colonel Rizzo. Now, if you will please help me welcome to the podium the Honorable Sammy Phillips, Mayor for the City of Jacksonville.
Good morning, everyone. Echoing what Colonel Rizzo just said about the weather, what a beautiful day for this ceremony today. I know a lot of us had to dress up and all to come, and in previous years we know what it's like when the humidity and the heat's here. But what a great day to be here, to be able to celebrate the service of these men who so much represented this country at a time when the country wasn't so good to them. On behalf of the City of Jacksonville, the Jacksonville City Council, and a grateful community, I welcome the Montford Point Marines, their families, our military leadership, and honored guests. In 2014, as the mayor, I brought together a group of local faith leaders to create an initiative we call One City, where we celebrate civility and kindness in our community. This diverse group continues to spread the One City message today, along with our city council, our staff, our volunteers, and our community at large. It embodies the spirit of one community, which we express here today. None of us can correct the wrongs that were cast upon the Montford Point Marines and others in the past. These brave men suffered discrimination and were made to feel unwelcome in our community and in our society. They served with honor and were the largest number of black Marines to serve in combat during World War II, numbering around 2,000. They are represented by the stars on the wall, and Jacksonville has helped support this wonderful memorial where we stand today that tells the story of the Montford Point Marines. At the City of Jacksonville, we pledge to continue to support the efforts of the Montford Point Marine Association and the search to find those who served and have not been recognized for their service but deserve that recognition, and present them with the Congressional Gold Medal. The honors being presented today affirm that there are many who served without recognition. We want their families to have this legacy recognized. We mourn the loss of those who are not with us today, but continue to honor their bravery and their sacrifice in the face of so many obstacles. As Mayor of Jacksonville, I want you to know that your city is proud of their service and that Jacksonville and the Montford Point Marines are different today. Today and every day, this caring community proudly extends a heartfelt welcome to all Montford Point Marines, their families and friends, and we honor you with our Heroes Welcome, and thank you for your service. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Phillips. And now, again, if you would please join me and welcome to the podium the President of the National Montford Point Marine Association, Incorporated, Dr. James T. Averhart, Jr., as he comes forward to provide a brief history of the founding of Montford Point Marine Day.
To Ambassador Britton, Lieutenant General Worth, General and Flag Officers, the Montford Point Marines in attendance, to our mayor, clergy, other elected officials, to our distinguished guests, members of the National Montford Point Marines Association and auxiliary, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I greet you on behalf of the National Montford Point Marines Association and our members. First, I'll be remiss if I did not publicly thank the members of the National Montford Point Marines Association and auxiliary for the hard work that you are doing, and I want to thank you in advance for what you're going to do. I recognize not only today we will present 30 Congressional Gold Medals, but I know tomorrow you will still be on the hunt to find those Montford Point Marines who we have not identified as of yet. Ladies and gentlemen, the National Montford Point Marines Association is a nonprofit 501c3 veteran organization established in 1965 by Montford Point Marines. Our mission is to perpetuate the legacy of the first African Americans who entered the United States Marine Corps from the periods of 1942 to 1949 at Montford Point Camp, New River, North Carolina. The association works to improve the social conditions of our veterans, local families, youth, and the growing population of senior citizens. On February the 29th, 2024, the National Montford Point Marines Association Incorporated was recognized by the United States Veteran Administration, approved as a veteran service organization for the purpose of preparing, presenting, prosecuting claims under the laws amended by the Department of Veterans Affairs. The National Montford Point Marines Association Incorporated is sanctioned by the Secretary of the Navy and is a member of the Navy and Marine Corps Council. As I've stated, thank you. As I stand with you today, I'm reminded of the story and legacy of the Montford Point Marines. Their story, our story, it's a story of resilience and perseverance. Approximately 82 years ago, a unique group of African American men will begin to accept the mission that will change the course of history. They are true pioneers, for they have walked the hollow grounds of Montford Point Camp and persevered during a time of racial divide, despondency, and adversity in a society that didn't want them. They had to fight for the right to fight. Many had experienced depression. All had endured racism, second-class citizenship, and soon would face the Jim Crow laws and treatment in Jacksonville, North Carolina. They came from all walks of life. Why? Because their country needed their service. It was service above self. It was sacrifice to be heirs that were all that was good about being an American. Some of these men made the ultimate sacrifice by laying down their lives for their country and their fellow Marines during a dim time in our nation's history. Today, as we set to honor the Montford Point Marines while ensuring the preservation of their legacy continues. In doing so, we will celebrate their future of the Montford Point Marines Association Incorporated and the role African Americans will continue to play in ensuring the success of our association, the Marine Corps, and America. As we celebrate this historical occasion and pay tribute to the African American heroes, the Montford Point Marines, we dedicate this program with the purpose of honoring these men of distinction and all who train at Montford Point Camp. Because of the sacrifice, perseverance, and commitment of the Montford Point Marines, tens of thousands of Marines are reaping their benefits and stand on the shoulders of these pioneers, trailblazers who dared to want to be a Marine when the African Americans were excluded from the Marine Corps. So today, as you witness history, let us also reflect upon the past, celebrate the present, and march forward to meet our goals for the future. Let us be reminded of the sacrifices of the Montford Point Marines made to ensure our success today and for future generations. Like the Montford Point Marines, we will continue to champion the cause for the preservation of their legacy. For this is not just black history or Marine Corps history, this is American history, and the world should know about the Montford Point Marines. May God continue to bless each of you, our country, and the United States Marine Corps, for we are Montford Point Marines.
Thank you, Dr. Ava Hart. Okay, but wait, it gets better. Would you please welcome First Sergeant William Jack McDowell as he comes forward to offer reflections of a Montford Point Marine. First Sergeant McDowell.
All right, Jack. Woo! Jack!
have no idea how this happened, but I'm here. Glad to see you all. I like your boots there, General Gaskin. Pretty nice. I joined the Marine Corps 79 years ago. And the reason I joined is because my brother joined a year before me, and he came to Brooklyn, New York, and told me a bunch of lies. And I said, that's what I sounded good. So I came down here to Montford Point, and I thought I had entered a nut house. But I'll tell you, in my 23 and a half years in the Corps, I learned a lot. And more than anything else, I learned about leadership. Now, I'm not going to tell you about an alleged incident about the midnight raid on a whiskey still in Holly Ridge, North Carolina. I have no knowledge of that incident. But it took leadership, I am told. I'm sitting over here with 8 of my brothers, and I'm probably the youngest one in the group. At least I like to think so. I saw at the bottom on the program, at the top of the list, a gentleman by the name of Ira Nash, who was a great friend of mine, and eventually a family member. Glad to see the members of his family here today to receive the Congressional Gold Medal in his honor. He was a hell of a Marine, a good friend. He's no longer with us, but I shall never forget him and all the other guys that I served with over the years. I was an infantry Marine. About 3 or 4 03 MOSs, and I was a drill instructor a couple of times in San Diego, and went on embassy duty and served in South Asia and a couple of places in the Middle East. I learned a lot. Leadership got me through some tough times. I worked with a wonderful group of Marines everywhere I was stationed. I learned a lot. And when I was lucky enough to retire, I worked for another 50 years doing engineering work. And I quit when I was 90. I figured it was time. Appreciate all of you coming out today, listening to me run my mouth. It's an honor to be here with my lovely wife, Brenda. Soon to be Dr. Brenda McDowell next year. Where's my wife? I can't find her. There she is. Okay. So thanks very much for coming, folks. It's a good day. It's families that are receiving the Congressional Gold Medal. It's not the Medal of Honor, don't get confused. That's a military award. It's not the Congressional Gold Medal of Honor, it's just the Congressional Gold Medal. Thank you all for coming. Thanks for listening to me run off the mouth. Have a good day.
Thank you, First Sergeant. We all should be so young at 90. Well, he quit work at 90, so. It is now my distinct honor to welcome another leader, a leader who's right here, the leader of 2 Marine Expeditionary Force, Lieutenant General Calvert L. Worth, Jr. Please join me in applause as he comes to the podium.
Well, first and foremost, good morning. The weather is in fact fantastic, and this is atypical. I would tell you that on a day in August in Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, this is not what we would expect. Not at all. As we've gone through the morning, I have a binder here. I have some words. I had a speech that I lined up. But at great risk, I'm going to go off script. And so my wife is looking at me. She knows that might be a little bit dangerous. But I would tell you that as you get up in the morning and you don this uniform, and on a day like today, when you know you're going to come and stand in front of Montford Point Marines, their families, and true mentors and idols who set the tone, the pace, and the example for somebody like me to follow, I think a script and a speech may not really touch and reach every place I want to go today. As I stand here on ground, right here at Camp Gilbert H. Johnson, Mark Johnson's camp, a legend, a hero, as I hear the stories told by our Montford Point Marines. And I first became aware of the story of Montford Point Marines actually late in my time in the Marine Corps. As I grew up, born in the 60s, grew up through the 70s, my father was a soldier, my uncles had been in the Navy, I was familiar. Stories of Tuskegee Airmen, who had then risen in the 70s to the rank of general. Cappy James, General Davis. These men had risen, and my father was very specific about telling me about opportunities. And my parents were very deliberate in setting conditions for our success. And they made sure that I was aware that there were no barriers. But as I stand here on Camp Gilbert H. Johnson, as I stand here in the shadow of this monument behind me, they arrived. They served. They lived. Focus on this Marine. Lean forward, eyes up, climbing the hill. Determined to get to the top. Determined to face whatever he was bound to face at the top of that hill. When those Montford Point Marines, the first recruits, arrived here, all the trepidation, all the turn in their bellies, knowing that they had left the Army or the Navy. For Mark Johnson, he had served in both, 15 years ahead of time. But the first stories I heard about Montford Point Marines recalled the fact that when the Marine Corps said that they were willing to accept African-American males, they ran to serve as Marines. Because first and foremost, they recognized what the Marine Corps meant, the few, the proud, right? And they ran to that call. They ran to be a little bit more, a little bit extra, and undertake the challenge of becoming Marines. And men like Mark Johnson understood how important the task was to make that first batch of Marines as a drill instructor, put them through hell, as I understand it. Put them through hell. Because he understood that in order to earn the title of United States Marines, to wear an Eagle Globe and Anchor, it meant something. And for Montford Point Marines, it had to mean a little bit more. There could be no space for failure. The high standards, the indisputable high standards and the adherence to discipline were hallmarks. I can't imagine how squared away you were in those uniforms. And I can't imagine the pride you must have felt the first time you wore that uniform out into the town of Jacksonville. Regardless of how you're going to be treated, you're United States Marines. And that's something special. They arrived. They went through hell. Got eaten up by the North Carolinian mosquitoes and everything else that's out there in untamed woodlands, swamplands of Camp Johnson. I guarantee you, Camp Lejeune is not necessarily a great place, and Camp Johnson was probably even more untamed. But you carved out a spot, they trained, and they prepared themselves to go to war. In the 33 years I've served, I've seen a little bit. In the 33 years from 1942, of course, to 49, but those Marines that were formed during that period of time, in 33 years, they fought in World War II in some of the toughest and hardest places the Marine Corps has ever fought. They went on to Korea and fought in the Chosin Reservoir and other battles in Korea. Then they went to Vietnam and served in the jungles there, earning their place in the history, along with the Tuskegee Airmen, along with all of those who served honorably in other services. The Montford Point Marines not only earned the title, but they served honorably. They blazed a trail that set conditions for me to stand here today wearing this uniform. They lived. We've already heard stories about their time in uniform. Maybe even more impactful and more testament to who they were as men, who were undisturbed by the racism and the challenges. They pushed themselves through. They persevered. They went to war. They came back. They built families that are represented to here. They became fathers and grandfathers and businessmen and engineers and ambassadors. These men set conditions for those who serve today. My uncle, my father, my uncles, they didn't necessarily know about the Marine Corps. What they did know is that it was tough. And there was trepidation even in the 80s when I started thinking about being a Marine. They understood the Air Force. There were general officers in the Air Force. They understood the Army because they had served, the Navy because they had served. They didn't really talk about the Marine Corps. But what you recognized when you ran and seized the opportunity to serve as a Marine Corps, maybe I saw a little bit of that. I knew that being a Marine and serving as a Marine officer today is about serving in one of the toughest branches. The discipline, the high standards, the indefatigable spirit of facing any challenge and knowing that you can persevere. I learned that from you. I didn't know it at the time, but something was there. And what you've done now for those who wear the uniform today is you ensured that we can wear this uniform not having to worry about being good enough as a black Marine. I can focus on being a good Marine officer and know that I can aspire to go as far as I can possibly go. You did that for us. You set the conditions. You walked through the door, forced the door open, held the door open, and ensured that those who serve today are products of your hard work and your dedication, supported by the families and their spirit, who lifted your spirits when times were down, who kicked you in the butt when you needed to be kicked in the butt, and then who stayed with you, served with you, and lived under those trees that you planted, lived in the shade tree of prosperity, lived in the shadow of your leadership. You talked about leadership. That's what the Marine Corps offers. You talked about leadership. That's what this individual, climbing his hill, ascending, going into the face of battle, knowing that he can persevere and win, that's what you've given us. That's what you do for us on a day-to-day basis. And for those wearing the uniform, we do so with great pride. And we do so knowing that we might be the North Star for some young man or woman out there who aspires to challenge themselves, who maybe doesn't necessarily know if they have the strength, they have the character, but I'm here wearing the uniform in honor of you because I know that I could possibly be that North Star. I could be the glimmer, not of hope, the glimmer of certainty that tells a young man or woman that you too can serve and go as far as you want to go. Our Montford Point Marines are true heroes. the families that gathered around them to support them, that come here today to remember their service and their sacrifice. We honor you. With great pride, we wear this uniform. With great pride, we serve every day, knowing that because of your leadership, because of your inspiration, we can do anything. We can go anywhere the nation needs us to go. And when we raise our hand to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America, boy, if you could lean forward and do that, we sure as hell can lean forward and undertake any challenge that comes at us. The young Marines and sailors that serve today are inspired by your leadership, but they are energized by the pride that we have in serving and honoring you every day. It should be easy for us to stand tall. It was hard for him to climb that hill, but easy for us to stand tall, to be proud, and to absolutely say thank you. So I end there. We are the embodiment of your spirit, your determination, your hope, and we owe it to you to be as good as we can be every day. And I will tell you, as the 11th African American Lieutenant General in the Marine Corps, there remains work to do. We're still moving out. But the Marine Corps is in good shape, it's in good hands, and we are proud to serve, and the sky is absolutely the limit. Thank you so much for our Montford Point Marines. It's an honor to be here today. Thank you for your inspiration. Hoorah! We are Semper Fidelis.
Thank you, General Worth, for those insightful and inspirational words. Dr. Averhart will now make a presentation of thank you to our inspirational speaker, Lieutenant General Calvert L. Worth, Jr. And General, don't walk away. Now you all get to do your presentation. So now the General and Dr. Averhart will present replicas of our nation's highest civilian award, the Congressional Gold Medal, to the Montford Point Marine families posthumously. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand. Attention to orders. Montford Point Marine Association Incorporated, Certificate of Recognition, United States Congress Congressional Gold Medal, in recognition of honorable service during the period of 1942 to 1949, while promoting peace and stability for the United States of America during World War II. The people of the nation are forever grateful. In a unanimous and bipartisan vote by the members of the 112th Congress of the United States, the Congressional Gold Medal Bill, H.R. 2447, was approved to be awarded to the first African-American Marine recruits to enlist and attend boot camp training at the segregated Camp Montford Point, North Carolina. The 27 June 2012 awarding of the Congressional Gold Medal to the Montford Point Marines was signed by the President of the United States of America, President Barack Obama. The Congressional Gold Medal is the highest civilian honor bestowed by Congress for distinguished achievement. The Montford Point Marines' dedicated contributions of perseverance, courage, and outstanding service changed the United States Marine Corps and America. Therefore, be it known that this certificate identifies the recipient as having earned the title Montford Point Marine. His devotion to duty reflects great credit upon himself and was in keeping with the highest tradition of the Marine Corps and the United States Naval Services. Signed, Dr. James T. Averhart, Jr., President, National Montford Point Marine Association, Incorporated, and Mr. Ronald C. Johnson, Vice President, National Montford Point Marine Association. Ladies and gentlemen, you may please be seated and remain seated throughout the remainder of the Congressional Gold Medal presentation to these Montford Point Marine families. The Congressional Gold Medal is being posthumously presented to the families of the following Marines: Master Sergeant Ira James Neal, Staff Sergeant James Arthur Miles, Jr., Sergeant Edward Lonnie Howard, Corporal Jack Eugene Baker, Corporal Oscar Livingston Craig, Corporal Clarence Carter Davenport, Corporal Frank Douglas, Corporal Elsie Golar, Corporal William Gibson, Jr., Corporal Jesse Floyd Green, Corporal Rufus Hezekiah Jones, Corporal Melvin McCowan, Corporal Otha Neil Mooney, Corporal Lawrence Leon Struthers, Corporal Neil Wilson, Corporal Walton Wilson, Field Musician Peyton Isaac Flournoy, Private First Class Joseph Brinson, Jr., Private First Class Ralph V. Dent. Private First Class John Daniel Jeffries. Private First Class Walter Jr. Johnson, Jr. Private First Class John Alexander Miller, Jr. Private First Class Joseph Dempsey Smith, Sr. Private First Class Harley Jr. Washington. Assistant Cook James Edward Logan, Jr. Private Joseph Lee Cook. Private Johnny Harris.
Let's give everyone a hand, please. In closing, I want to thank each and every one of you for taking the time out of your busy schedule this morning to come out and to witness history, because that is what it is. I would like to congratulate each family that received the Congressional Gold Medal replica recognition on behalf of their loved one. I would like to publicly thank the supporting establishment. General, thank you for taking the time out of your schedule as well. We know that you got things to do and busy running the Corps and the base as well. And to all the supporting establishment for coming out, the mayor of Jacksonville, the city of Jacksonville, the Tourism Bureau, and I too would like to thank the Color Guard and the band for what they have done this morning. With your support and advocacy, this event has been a major success. It exudes our motto that working together works. We look forward to the continued partnership in the future. So ladies and gentlemen, I bid you a farewell and good day. Again, as the national president of our organization, we will leave here today and to go look for other Montford Pointers that we have not recognized. So I say to each of you, as I stated before, this is not just Black history or Marine Corps history. This is American history, and the world needs to know about the Montford Point Marines, because we are Montford Point.
If you would all please stand for the playing of Anchors Aweigh, a Marines hymn.